So I get this job as a police officer, and I had no idea what I was getting into, like none. But the minute I got that job, I was shocked, especially growing up in the streets that you used to hang out in and dealing with what you see. Not just from the carnage that you see, but from my coworkers too. I had a lot of issues with the way that policing is done, and I'm not afraid to speak on that. So it really messed with my head. I remember early on, like being so shocked at the behavior of other officers, at their behavior towards citizens, that attitude that we're the good guys, they're the bad guys. I never understood that. I had an issue with that from the jump. So in police world, I'm gonna give you a perfect example here. In the police world, you're not allowed to tell anybody that you're bothered. You have to put on this RoboCop macho man facade, and you gotta act like you can deal with anything. And when you do all that and you don't have the presence of the Lord in your life, it's a recipe for disaster. You know, we lose twice as many cops to suicide than we do to violence on the street. It's crazy. And these are numbers that I didn't know about. Nobody taught me that at the academy. Nobody said a word about it. But you keep a facade. My rookie year, I was only a cop for a few months. There was a very, very famous double homicide, two young girls in a wooded area. Me and my partner's one who actually found the bodies. And I remember standing there in shock. My daughter was the same age at the time. And I'm standing at this crime scene. And when you got to understand, when you're an officer and you find stuff like this, you don't just find it and leave. You are married to that scene. So you're literally standing for hours and hours. I remember all the news helicopters flying over and just standing there looking at this. So I'll just play tough. I won't say anything. I won't admit I'm weak. I don't want these guys to think I'm weak. So that's what you kept doing. That's what I kept doing for years. I mean, like, here's police work for you. That happened. I'm up all night. I got to come in the next night. I'm still not processed that. That's 18 years ago. I'm still haven't processed fully. That same night, I come in, some dude hits this girl with a car on purpose, rips her arm off. So I'm trying to process one, and then you got to go to this next one. And that's police work for you. It's just one to the next, to the next, to the next. And you can't tell anybody that you're bothered. You have to act tough. It's phony. And like I said, I'm going to keep saying this. I'm going to go back to this. Without the Lord to sustain you through this, you're in big trouble. And I could tell you story after story after story. This is just the beginning. This goes on. It never stops. I mean, I've seen more people lose their life in front of me than I'd care to count. The way that I dealt with it was Jim Beam. That's how I held my problems. He would take me away. I was always an ethical cop, though. Everyone thinks that I'm telling this story that I was somehow maybe a crooked cop or a dirty cop or this and that. I was an ethical cop. And I remember back in the day, my counselors that I ended up going to years later, they said, why don't you live your personal life with the same morals that you do your professional life? It was just something I always struggled with. So without having anyone to go to, without having the Lord, without having any faith, my life became a train wreck. And I ended up destroying my first marriage. Got divorced in about 4 years in. I knew that I had done things to my family and that I was going down this deep, dark road that I could not pull myself out of. You just start caring about even being here. This darkness, and I think we underestimate the spiritual world, that the attacks that you're under, it just gets darker and darker and darker. And as you're a cop and you work the night shift, you literally don't see light. I remember when you actually stop caring about whether you live or die, it makes you a better cop, and that sounds crazy, but it's the truth. I would be out there on midnight shift, and I didn't care what happened to me. I always had my partner's back, but I really didn't care about my own safety anymore because I really didn't feel like even being here. So I didn't care about hiding in the bushes in our worst neighborhoods, jumping out on guys that I know have guns, guys that I know that are dealing crack or heroin. I had no problem with that. I got a lot of good arrests. it made me look like I was a successful cop, but it was really me not caring what happened to me. I remember just trying to get some sleep when you go through that for years. Just trying to get some sleep. I had this concoction. I used to live with my brother, and he would, not to sound insensitive or anything, but he used to call it the Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger was an actor that overdosed on a concoction that was very, very scary and similar to what I would do just to get a night's sleep. I had Ambien, Xanax, pain pills, because I was always beating my body up. And I never washed it down with water. I would just wash it down with NyQuil. And that was my ritual, just to go to sleep. And I just didn't care anymore. I just lost faith. And I remember specifically one night, I was laying in bed. I just got done taking the Heath Ledger. I was falling asleep, and I was just like fantasizing about how would I kill myself if I was going to do it. And I used to have 2 guns. I had a Kel-Tec that could fit in my pocket, and then I had my duty weapon, which was a bigger gun. So I used to practice. And it's not to sound, I'm just being real with you, keeping 100, like we say. I used to practice either in my mouth or maybe I'll do this. And that morning, I practiced under here. And I remember, because I was so woozy off of that, the medication I took, that I fell asleep. My gun right here. And I happened to be staying with this female at the time. She came in and found me like that. And she blew a gasket. She threw the blankets off me and she just kicked me out. And then I got turned into my chief. He basically just sent me to a psychologist. Didn't introduce me to much more than, hey, you go talk to a psychologist and let me know when you can come back. So now they stripped you of your identity. Now I had to turn in my gun, turn in my badge, and now everyone's going to find out about this and think I'm crazy. We're cops. We know what to tell psychologists to get them to clear you to come back to work. It was pretty easy. So my thing was, I went to the psychologist. I told them what they wanted to hear, what I knew I could say, and they sent me back to work. But when they sent me back to work, I said, you know what? People are going to find out about this, and I'm done. That's it. I'm going to do it for real. And nobody's going to know it the wise. I'm going to act like I'm happy, but really, I have no more reason to live. The fallout from hurting my own kids and the wreck that I made of my life was just too much for me to bear. And that was it. I remember my mom bought me an iPad, and I always tease Janet because I'm the biggest moron when it comes to technology. I can't figure anything out. But I was able to find out how do you type on that thing. So I typed out suicide note, down to who I wanted at my funeral. I was so angry at the badge. I didn't want any cops at my funeral. I felt that I was that guy that you saw holding those babies. I didn't know where he went. I just went, man, I wish I was just normal again.